Hello, my name is Cindy Lee, and I help construction companies adopt AI and technology, helping build the tools needed for your digital toolbox. Today is going to be leaning into the technology, and we're going to go into Procore financials and how to create a commitment inside that platform. I am in my project home screen. I'm going to go over to financial management under commitments. I'm going to the project home screen, going over to commitments. Inside Procore, if you want to do something, find the big orange button. In Procore, you have two options: create a subcontract or create a purchase order. Inside Procore's commitment tools, you have the ability to create two things. One is a subcontract, another is a purchase order. In industry, a purchase order could be a subcontract. A purchase order is a document sent by the buyer to a seller. In Procore's software, the difference between a subcontract and a purchase order is that a purchase order is a material. Subcontract is considered a good and service. This is a side-by-side. This is a side-by-side of what happens if you create a subcontract or a purchase order. On the left-hand side, subcontract, general information. You could add in the contract, the title, the status, the executed. Once you start looking down at the purchase order, you can see that there is a bill to, there's also a ship to, assignment, payment terms, and ship via, because purchase orders in Procore is considered materials only. Description, attachments, and then you also have your schedule of values. Whereas here you only have description, attachments, you have your schedule of values, but you also have inclusions and exclusions. You do not have that in purchase orders. Contract dates. You notice here is that the contract date fields are also different because this is going to be more on delivery. This is goods and services. And then you also have the contract privacy. Some of the general information is the same, but just to note is that the difference between the two inside Procore, create subcontract is goods and services, create purchase order is only materials. Let's create a subcontract. Create a subcontract. I'm going to add in the contract company, put in the title, default retainage, description. I'm going to attach some files here, put in the contract. The schedule of values is really important because that's going to be the connection point for everything inside the financial tool system. For this contract, I have a lump sum, but if you wanted to move it over to a unit cost, unit measure, you can do that. I've added the schedule of values, put in any inclusions or exclusions. I've put in the contract date, start, end date, and any dates that I needed to add. Contract privacy, you always want to put this as checked. By default it is. Allows them to see their contract without seeing any other person's contract. Right now I'm going to go ahead and add in my invoice contact. So Ron is going to be the main point of contact for this contract. He would be able to see just his contract inside the commitments tool, not anyone else's. Once I have all of this information, send SSOV notification. SSOV equals subcontractor schedule of values. If I wanted Ron to break down that one line item even more, right now I'm going to go ahead and skip that. I'm going to do it for him just to get the contract set up. This schedule of values is based off of my budget tool. This budget code goes back down, is related to this budget line item right here. I want to manage my budget on that one line item. If I want my sub to invoice and break down the contract even more, let's do that with contractor SOVs. On the second tab right here is the subcontractor SOV. And send this out to my subcontractor to break down. But right now I'm going to go ahead and add it on his behalf. If I wanted them to break down the contract by labor and material, And it breaks down this budget code into multiple line items. Subcontractor SOV. I did that manually. You could also import the S. So how you're able to do that is import, download the CSV template. There are instructions to be able to upload that template, upload this, update this template, and then you could upload it. For this video, I'm just going to be adding it in one by one. And now my subcontractor SOVs is approved. I'm going to go ahead and approve this contract. And now I have my concrete contract inside Procore. Concrete work, I've added in the description. I have my contract summary. I have my schedule of values based off of this cost code, inclusions and exclusions, contract dates, contract privacy, added in my invoice contact. I also have my contractor SOV. Now let's create a purchase order. Purchase order. I have my contract information. I also have my contract company, my title, status, any retainage, assigned to, payment terms, billed to, my ship to, ship via, the description, adding in the attachments, and then the schedule of values. This contract's default, because it is material, is unit quantity based, but if I did want to change to the amount, I have the ability to do that. I'm going to add in the budget code. I'm doing this manually, but you could also import this from an SOV. You could add in your contract date and then save that here. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and put in as processing, just so then you can see what the statuses mean. Now I have my purchase order for this material. If I go back to my commitments tool, I can see high level on all the contracts that have been created on top of the project. I can scroll over to the left and kind of see everything. However, if you notice here is that I lose track of what the contract name is. Go to my three dots here, pin column to the left, as well as the number if I wanted to. So if I scroll over, I can still see that contract company. If there are certain columns that you never use, click on this configure button and uncheck the columns you won't need. So then it'll save you some space. These columns are sticky, so if I leave the page and I come back, it should still be the same. You can export this to a CSV or a filters. If you wanted to filter out the commitments and only look at all of the items that are approved, you could do that using filters on the left-hand side. If you only wanted to look at contracts versus purchase orders, if you wanted to group items by contract company or status, that'll give you this view. Or you could just clear all of your filters and groupings. Not only do you see the commitments here, right now I have $865,000 committed to this project. Let's go back to the budget tool. The budget tool connects all of the financial tools where you're able to see everything here. Notice here is that you have your concrete, your doors, your plumbing, concrete, doors, and plumbing. That's all approved. Even though I have $865,000 in contracts, only $859 is showing up. The reason being is that this status is still processing. If you look at your committed costs right here and the source, it's only showing subcontracts that are approved and completed, purchase orders that are only approved, and change order statuses that are only approved. That's where that $6,000 is missing, because that status. If you were to go and add and have this as approved, I'm going to go ahead and refresh. Now that the purchase order is approved, if I go over to my committed cost, $865,000, you see here is that the $6,000 has been approved. It is now showing up inside my budget. Statuses matter inside Procore, especially with the budget tool. Now I had 865, everything is approved. That's how you create a commitment. We created a subcontract as well as created a purchase order for Windows for materials, because purchase orders are materials, subcontracts are goods and services. We configured the commitments tool table, as well as showed the budget on where everything connected back to the budget. Again, my name is Cindy Lee. If you want more of this, please like or subscribe. Thanks.